So originally I bought this phone about 2 years ago because I was going to make a video about it. But then life happened and I never got to it. And since then, I've been using this pretty much exclusively as a Pokemon emulator to play my games on. Since then, I found the free time and I figured it'd be awesome to actually take the time to come back to the LG G8 to see how it was and what it's up to these days. And I've used a lot of LG flagships in the past, from the LG G2 all the way to the G5, where they had this cool modular design. Those were the good days when competition was high, and since then I believe LG has basically died out, and the G8 is one of their last phones before they called it quits, which is a shame because competition is always good, and to see LG throw in the towel like this makes me sad because we all know they were destined to do great things if they could get it figured out. Either way, that's fine. I hate to see them go, but for now, let's talk about what LG did right with this phone. And first is the build. I love to see glass and metal on phones, especially on Androids, and on the G8 it looks good and feels like quality. And it makes me think of how far we've come from a time where it was typical for most expensive Android phones to be made out of plastic. So forgive me for still being shocked to see glass and metal on phones these days, but in this case, the physical quality on the phone is on par with basically any other high quality glass and metal phone in every aspect except the physical button feedback. Button pressing on this feels way too soft, not very responsive, too gushy, and that's the worst complaint I can give the build of this phone. Overall, great design. Even in 2021 standards, this competes just fine with glass and metal phones released today, a year ago, 2 years ago. Very high quality and well done, LG, on this build here. The next thing I want to talk about is Hand ID, because it was the debut feature on the G8, and when I heard of Hand ID, I thought about how interesting and how wild this idea was, and I was curious on what the experience would be like. At this point, please do not buy this phone for Hand ID. Curb your curiosity. Buy this phone for basically any other reason. Performance, price, cameras, battery, whatever. Let's give LG props here, real quick. Thank you for trying to make this work, because the tech space so desperately needs manufacturers taking risks and doing things outside the mind-numbingly boring status quo. But if you're gonna take a risk like this, can you at least try? Hand ID is effectively a broken feature that doesn't work 90% of the time, at least for me. Registering your hand is a pain in the ass and it takes forever. Unlocking your phone with Hand ID is always slower than your password or Face ID, and the same thing with the gestures feature that bring up an app or trigger a screenshot. Don't get me wrong, when it works, it's fun to use. It's an exciting experience for sure, but just being honest, this tech needed a lot more time to be a truly useful feature, and that sucks. The rest of the software also stuck out to me, aside from Hand ID. If you watched any of my old videos, you know that I actually hate LG software. I cannot stand it. It's always too slow, too weird, but I actually don't mind LG's software choices on this phone. I don't know what happened, but I appreciate it here. It's very clean. It has that typical LG slight lack of polish and speed in animation. Just slightly, I can still notice. It's plenty fast, but I see it every time. When this phone needs a second to catch up, it's very noticeable. Other than that, there's a lot to like about the software on this phone. I like the 3 different ways that you can access Google Assistant. I don't know why you need 3, but you have 3. You're welcome. The hardware button is my favorite. Just feels good. And I don't know what it is, but I like hardware buttons that do things. Besides volume up, volume down, power, I like the extra buttons. I don't know why, I just do. You can also swipe down on the home screen, or you can hold the home button. Those are all great ways to access them. I really like this little pop-up menu, this little app pop-up tray, and most importantly, I like the way their custom software doesn't get in the way of using my phone. It doesn't annoy me, it doesn't get in my way. I can do everything plenty fast with this custom software here, get to where I need to go. Not to mention, Face ID is also really fast on this phone. Basically on par with my iPhone 12, which is a huge compliment to LG. Really nice job here. The biggest issue I have with the software is that I cannot get this phone to update. With everything in me, I cannot find out how to update this phone. I researched it for about an hour or two for workarounds, and a lot of things that popped up was using LG Bridge, swapping SIM cards, and I even saw people recommending that I ship it to LG, which I don't have time for. So keep that in mind. I don't know what's going on, but you might not be able to update your LG phone. I have no idea what's going on. I just wanted to let you know, keep that in mind. So these are the biggest things that I wanted to spend time on while reviewing this phone in the modern day. Real quick, I'll do a speed round of everything else you should know about this guy. The cameras are fine. There are people out there that are much better than me at doing deep technical breakdowns of the camera. But long story short, the photos are great. They're great in 2021. awesome. Especially in sunlight, they're wonderful. As with all cameras, the less sunlight you have, the more decline in quality, or I guess just the less light you have, more decline in quality. If you want a phone that's gonna take baller photos in low light, get a phone from 2021. This will not do it. Battery life is standard, nothing crazy. This will reliably last you a whole day. A quick run through of my typical day. Spotted use over an 8-hour shift, texting, emails, spotted social media use. Come home, watch about an hour or so of YouTube, whether that's catching up on news, gaming news, how-to videos, and researching on upcoming purchases, topics, whatever. I rarely ever play games on my phone because I have a gaming PC and a Switch. But some days I play Pokemon on an emulator for a few hours, and I predict that I could probably get about 7 to 8 hours of gameplay with an emulator, no problem. Because I don't normally play games on my phone, the other day I tried to play a few what I thought were pretty heavy mobile games here. I played the Elder Scrolls mobile game. That was fine. Performance was great. Awesome. I played Pokemon Unite, 60 frames. Awesome. And I played some For Honor clone. And real quick side note, man, mobile games have really come a long way. I'm super impressed. Speaking of gaming on this phone, I could also stare at the screen for hours. Plenty bright, it's colorful, looks fine to me. This isn't really a positive or negative, but just a point I wanted to note. The colors are way different on my iPhone 12 compared to the G8. Again, not a positive or negative, just a personal preference thing that I wanted to bring up. Also, when I connect this phone to my laptop charger, I get a full charge in like 30 minutes. That's pretty nuts. Ultimately, when I bought this phone 2 years ago, this ran me about $250. These days, you could probably get it for half that price, and I honestly could expect to get another year or two out of this phone, even if I use it as a daily driver. Overall, I think it's worth the buy as a main phone if you're on a budget, a backup device, or a kid's phone. This is a very solid buy, and I'm glad I got to experience it when I had the chance. The only thing I wanted to bring up, and this is for the tech enthusiasts out there listening to this video, if you want something more fun, go for the LG G8X instead of the LG G8. And see if you can find that dual screen attachment. I didn't realize it, but the normal LG G8 is not compatible with that add-on. And I think screwing around with that second screen might be much more fun, much more interesting if you're considering using the LG G8 series phone in 2021. But friends, this is basically it. This is the review phone that I've had for 2 years while I did not have time to make videos, but it's here now. Probably my biggest video since getting back into making videos. And I hope this gave some context if the LG G8 was worth your time in 2021. Because of this video, I'm actually looking to reviewing the LG Velvet at some point because this is LG's last official flagship phone, and I want to take a long look at their last dying wish for consumers of the world to experience. But I'm getting out of here. Thanks for watching. Leave some comments if anything interesting stood out to you while watching this. And yeah, I'm getting out of here, man. Take care, and I hope to see you in the next one.